continuing on, another question that comes up often is if I am exhausted and stressed out all the time, it is a complete romance buster. I don't have the energy to be creative. I do want things to be better. I want to thrive more, but I'm tired. I never get to sleep through the night. I'm exhausted. What do I do?
We both agree on this. We did talk about this ahead of time.
In unison, yeah. I think one thing that's really important, whether you're dealing with all of these difficulties in life events and stages, or if it's just everything's great but there's still time, is we need to learn how to embrace the micro dates and the quickies. And I'm talking quickies emotionally and sexually. So every conversation doesn't need to be this long drawn out 50 minutes of, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes just getting to actually tell someone like, I'm just struggling, today is a really sucky day, and getting a hug, or having the person be like, oh, I feel you, I'm sorry, is there anything I can do to help? All of a sudden we just had an emotional quickie, and we are edging towards that connection. We are, again, rejecting and refusing isolation by just that little quick emotional quickie. And we all know sexual quickies are pretty fulfilling and connecting as well. So embracing that, not trying to shame and not feeling like something's wrong with me, or why can't we have that romantic, candles lit, flowers spread apart. It's sometimes that's great.
Yeah.
Most of the time the quickie will work. And then
2 minutes is better than nothing.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we say. It's 2 minutes is better than no minutes. And I will say, I think my husband and I, we have found that walks are great micro dates.
Yes.
Just quick walking. A lot of times people talk more and open up more when they're walking and doing something active rather than the formal sitting on the couch.
Because you're side by side when you walk.
Yes.
It's not
face to face, and that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. Eye contact is very vulnerable and emotional, and so I think you put your kid in a stroller or have them walk with you, and maybe have them walk up a little bit ahead of you. But taking walks, just finding those small moments of connection. For me, one thing that I would say that I have found as a mom is to shower. So once my bedtime happens, shower, get the mom brain, whatever else, boogers, food off of me. It makes me feel more sexual. And my husband and I have really just realized it's kind of okay, now we're not mom and dad, we're husband and wife, you know?
I like that.
And then I would just like to throw this out there. This is just a tip that I give many women is consider a vibrator. I think it should never be a replacement. It should be an enhancement to your sex life. But women on average they need about 20, 30 to 40 minutes of clitoral stimulation to orgasm. That's just biologically how it happens. Not all women, but the average woman. And so knowing that, a quickie isn't always satisfying for females, and it should be satisfying. It should be, you're enjoying it just as much as your spouse. And an orgasm is a stress release. It feels good. It's connecting. It's emotionally intimate, of course, too, not just physical. And so I say explore the option. Don't go buy it and then demand that you're going to start using it. Don't judge me that I use it. It's a personal decision that a couple needs to talk about. And I think, you and I've discussed, even just talking about it is a huge win for your marriage. Whether you say, you know what, we don't need it, great. You talked about it, you addressed it. But then if it's not a vibrator, how are you going to make the most of those quickies? Because what I would hate to hear is, well, great, my husband, that's nice for him. He got off in 2 minutes, but I felt like I was a piece of me, or I felt like I wasn't part of it. Sex should be mutual, it's an expression of love. It's meant to connect. Orgasming isn't the goal, it shouldn't be. I think it's we say it's the cherry on the top, yes, but it's not about performance. It can't be. It's about we're spending time connecting emotionally, physically, and for me, even spiritually on a different level that we don't connect with anybody else. And so if you kind of keep that goal in mind of what's the goal of sex? It's to connect. And but also enjoyment. And if you're raising kids, you need a stress release. You need that, and
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah.
What are some ways, either one of you, what are some ways, just practical transitions? Because like I said, I was just mom 5 minutes ago, and then now I'm going to go in the bedroom and be the hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
What are some good practical tips to transition? Because it's easy just to say, I'm too tired, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed out. He doesn't get it, or she doesn't get it, or whatever it is, the disconnect, and so you don't want to make that effort. What are just tools to transition? Like you choose,
other than showering,
that you choose
showering together,
showering together. But like, what's
we have something we call the 60-second blessing, and you can search it. We have a video on YouTube about it, and it's one of the most watched videos on our YouTube channel. But it's basically a 2-minute practice where for 60 seconds, one spouse shares good, positive, romantic, I find this attractive in you. I love when you do this. I love that you're kind, caring. You're a great mom. Words of affirmation. And then for 60 seconds, the other partner responds with the things that they love about their spouse. It's very intimate. Our brain is our largest sex organ, so what you think about sex is dramatically going to impact you and your sex life in the bedroom. So if you think it's boring, not fun, it's only what naughty girls do, my husband just views me as a piece of meat, if you view it that way, you're going to go into the bedroom with a really bad attitude, and you probably aren't going to enjoy it. But if you remind each other, like, that's right, I always tell women this is not like practiced. I have to say this because this is so important. Your husband doesn't view you as a piece of meat. He married you because he finds you attractive, because he desires you. And I remember switching my brain to go, that's right, like my husband, like I turned him on after 16 years of marriage. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that so many people view it as like sex, like a chore. But if you control your thoughts in your brain and you really recognize, like, wait, this is a gift to my marriage, this is a way we connect, and you find new ways to spice things up and keep it fresh, I think, so your thoughts throughout the day really will impact you. So again,
Absolutely.
if for me, we schedule sex, because it's not going to happen if it's not on the calendar, which we could talk about for a whole other segment. But for me, that whole day, like my husband will send me a sweet text, or I will shave my legs, and lucky him, and he'll help put the kids to bed, and we'll say nice things to each other. We'll do the 60-second blessing. So we're kind of just mentally preparing ourselves to get there, rather than I was a mom. And I get it. I mean, we have our days where it was scheduled and it doesn't happen. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's really what you think about sex. And so I think the shower for me is the physical, like I'm no longer mom, I'm sexy wife, right? And there's a mental component of I get to do this with my husband. Like I get to be in the bedroom. Like 16 years later, we still get to get it on. Like what a gift, what a blessing in my marriage. And my husband still finds me attractive, and then I still find him attractive. And that we can please each other this way. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm sure you could say something.
No, it's all great. And I would more a word to the spouses and the husbands that, again, sometimes to make a need known and then to receive is a difficult process afterwards. So there's oftentimes this disconnect of, she doesn't really want to, or I don't know. And there's actually some pushback on the guy's side of the quickie, and recognizing that, again, if we choose to believe that this is an act of love, that discipline and planning, and hey, let's do this real quick, if we can choose to believe that she's doing this because she loves me, not because she has to or she's obligated, not because she doesn't enjoy it, but what if she actually enjoys it and loves me, and we're working together to make this time? So for the men out there that are watching this, recognizing that you can fully receive when you've asked for this. And equally, same thing, the conversation about a vibrator, anything that you're bringing in the bedroom, is a wonderful, erotic, exciting conversation to have when you give yourself the permission that this is okay.
Yeah.
That, again, it's not to replace me. It's not because I'm not sufficient and good enough. It's she's making a need known, and if I allow myself to live in the world where her needs turn into her pleasure and that's more fun for me, we might be the one on the website ordering it before she's even done talking about it.
Yeah. And I think too, and I'm sure you would agree with this, the topic specifically about sex has to be very lightly handled. No laughing. I know it's very, we can giggle when we talk about sex, right? It's funny. There's funny body parts. Body parts look funny. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of shame. And what I know with what we've heard and we've seen with couples is someone brings up an idea of like, hey, I'd like to talk about it. You're crazy. We'd never do. You instantly just made that person feel stupid, ashamed, and judged. And then they're not going to talk about it. So even if your spouse gives a wild idea, or they're like, hey, I really would like to request this, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Again, watch your response. Remember, we don't want our spouse to feel stupid, ashamed, judged, unloved just because they brought up an idea.
Right.
And so I think that we really need to remember to take these conversations specifically about sex very, I don't want to say cautiously, what would be the best word? Like, because I don't want you to be going in going, oh, I want to be afraid.
Sacred.
I don't want to say sacred. Oh, beautiful. Sacred. This is sacred space. Two safe people that can talk about it and share their ideas their needs, their fears even in the bedroom without being ridiculed and judged for it. And that's really the goal, and that's a huge win for your marriage. If you can talk about your sex life, you're doing something good in your marriage.
Absolutely. There is so much more we could talk about on this subject, but we've got 2 people here that you could certainly reach out to for resources or questions, and thank you. That was fantastic.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.